before I start, Becky, she asked me to just do one thing. She said, please, don't mention the Foo Fighters gig at the Cheese and Grain. Just don't mention it. Yeah, and I'm not going to mention it. Because she said, that was the best day of your life. But today will be the best day of your life. I said, well, hold on, don't be hasty. Let's do a bit of a pros and cons list. Let's get to the end of the day. Let's see who comes out on top. So I'm not going to mention it, so don't worry. Cheese and Grain gig. Foo Fighters.
The date brought to me.
24th of February 2017. First of all, I want to do the sensible bit first and do a toast to absent friends and family. Anyone who's ever talked to Becky about her nan will know how she would have done anything for her to have been here today. Similarly with my granddad, my mum's dad, who can make the most innocuous trip into town sound like the funniest thing you'd ever heard. Also, my nan, my dad's mum, couldn't be with us today. She's not dead, she just wasn't invited. And also Pencil and Lois, who Becky would have loved to have been here today. So can we raise a toast to absent friends and family? Okay, obviously I'm going to go through some thank yous. First off, thank you to everyone here today. We're really honoured. Start again. So much. We're somewhere in the very pleased and delighted bracket. I'm not honoured, it's too much. Very pleased and delighted that you could join us today, especially on a Friday, because I know a lot of you had to put kids into sort of care. Jen, what's it called? Childcare nursery, yeah. And to take time off, so it's much appreciated because it definitely helped us with the old so thank you very much. So thank you very much. Second thank you is going to go to my new beautiful bride, Becky. Just for the sheer amount of time and effort and energy that you put into the whole day to run as smoothly as we knew it was going to. So thank you, darling. We were discussing recently sort of percentage of work that Becky put into the whole day, and we both agreed with 95%, which I know sounds bad on my part, but to be fair, she has planned this in her head for about the past 20 years. So thank you very much for that. Now, if you see the kind of decor around the room, if anyone knows of a wedding coming up anytime soon, be sure to check Facebook Marketplace tomorrow. We'll be on there. And I know a lot of you will know that's not a joke because you know how savvy Becky is with money. An attribute she definitely has picked up from her mum, who's just as savvy with money. An attribute she picked up from her dad, probably her lad-like behaviour, I would like to say. Anyone who's spoken to Steve will know that's certainly true. And it would be remiss of me if I didn't say what a fantastic job Becky's mum and dad have done bringing her up. The more kind, caring, and thoughtful young lady. She really is a credit to Becky that you've done such a great job bringing her up. So thank you very much on that. Becky, she is really savvy with money. Boxing Day, 6 a.m. she'll be up, next sales, buying Christmas presents for the next Christmas, or Christmas cards. She'll save like 75p in each card. So much. She's buying for 15 people over the past 10 years. She's made profit on that, so. Obviously, I would like to thank my parents as well, Dad and Linda, Mum and Graham, Chris and Lena. Those of you who don't know, I lived with Chris and Lena for about 4 years, where I would get home cooked meals. Washing at the end of my bed, they used to bathe me. They insisted. But no, it was lovely, if not weird. But no, none of my real parents, Mum and Dad, thank you for just always being there for me, whether it's to tell me how to change my oil in my car, or how to peel a carrot, or to clean up my sick when I've slept in it all night. Yeah, Dad knows he did that, yeah. You were never too busy, so thank you very much. But I'm lucky that I picked up a lot of Mum and Dad's really good traits. Mum, your silliness and sensitivity. Dad, your kindness and sarcasm. Yeah, that's definitely true. A lot of people tell me I look quite a lot like my dad, but then sometimes they tell me I look quite a lot like my mum, look like my granddad. To be honest, people tell me I look like a lot of people. Scott Mills, pretty much every day. Chris, no. The high-pitched guy from Brooklyn Nine-Nine, Tom Lemon. Pretty much every year, some twat from Big Brother. Every year. But no, luckily, I've always had sort of a boyish face. But luckily, I've got a lot of my dad's and mum's really good traits. Certainly got my dad's physique, your mouth, your eyebrows. Could have done with a bigger... Not exactly packing, but luckily, Becky is really tight. With money, so no need for You went there. I'm still going. Bridesmaids, you've got to thank you. Thank you, bridesmaids. You do look all stunning. Even the Welsh one, which I thought... quite surprising, but no, thank you for always being really good friends to Becky. I value all your friendship, so thank you very much. Now also I just want to talk about the real driving force behind this wedding, because Colin wanted another stag do. Wanted another stag do. Mate, I couldn't have asked for a better bass man, even though I did ask Reese first. Which I feel bad about now. But to be fair to me, I didn't really appreciate the full title. Best man. I wanted the best man. He's my oldest friend. But if I wanted the best man, of course I want the guy who's been on 200 stag do's and organised about half of them. But no, the stag do was organised to an absolute T. Just the effort to go into the research into the best beaches, the best bars, best restaurants to serve the hottest green chili. I still think I'm pissing hot peri-peri sauce. It was so painful. But no, mate, you've done a sterling job. Just the energy, enthusiasm you put into everything. Just seeing you get Wixie up to go to five-side football when he was basically in a coma was hugely impressive. No, thanks for everything you do, mate. Have we got him a little? No, we haven't. You haven't been best man long, so. And I want to circle back to the real driving force behind this wedding, Miss Becky Battle. Now, the real driving force behind the wedding was the aspiring history teacher who knew I had the surname Battle. That was the real driving force. Now, actually, most of you will think that that's the real reason Becky, but actually Becky always says that the first thing that attracted her to me was actually my arms. Now, for those of you who don't know what my arse looks like, I'm not going to turn around. If you see one of the stags later on, just check our WhatsApp group. There are plenty of pictures from their stag on that one. But no, it was pretty evident, even on the first few dates, that we were kind of perfect for each other. You know, she's beautiful, she's funny, she's clever, she loves football, she gives great advice. Really good advice. No, we always made for each other. And I just think we make each other better people. You know, I make she makes me less moody. And I make you, when you're driving, not close your eyes when you see To be honest, that's not the silliest thing that Becky's ever done. I do have her permission for the next 30 seconds. So it might sound harsh, but I do have her permission. So Becky used to call tumbleweeds desert balls. She calls them desert balls. She used to think the national speed limit sign, you know, the white she used to think that meant you can go as fast as you want. 27 and she still can't tie her own laces. She used to think there were different cows for different types of milk. So you know, like a full fat cow, 1% cow, lactose-free cow. Now, we don't actually have many arguments. I mean, we might have one after the fact. But actually, I was talking to a few people recently. The main argument we ever have is our previous argument. Yeah. I'm not going to go into too much detail, but we were with the boys and bays having some drinks, and Becky got quite aggressive with her nominations for me to drink. And I sort of retaliated with a bit of a derogatory comment. And we still argue to today who was in the right, who was in the wrong. That's the main thing we argue about. Well, that and your drinking. That is a joke. She doesn't drink in-laws. She doesn't drink. She has no drink problem. Not unless you call getting drunk on 3/4 of a can of recorder like a problem. Which happened in Mallorca all the time. But on the topic of drinking, I would like to raise a toast to my new beautiful bride, to Becky. Yay! Okay, I want to wrap up my speech by talking about. Let me just double check. See, this was going so well. Yeah, now I know it's a little bit early to talk about divorce. But the two main reasons why I know that I'm going to give 100% to this marriage is, number one, my love for Becky, and number two, I do not want to be single again. I feel like a returning war vet from Vietnam. I'm not going back out there, man! I ain't going back out there! No, I never did very well with the ladies. Mainly, I mean, there's a lot of blokes in here who will know that's definitely true. I think mainly because ladies, I always felt they wanted a bloke with rugged good looks and boyish charm, and I had boyish good looks and rugged charm. Kind of like the opposite. Kind of case in point, I remember once specifically, I had a line in mind, I had this little chat line, and I thought, right, I'm going to go, I can use it, brilliant. But as soon as I went to use it, I kind of froze and I didn't know what to say. And the line was, everyone makes mistakes, can I be yours? Well, it's cheesy, it might work, but I totally forgot what I was going to say. So I went up to her and I went, everyone makes mistakes. I mean, look what you're wearing. Suffice to say, I didn't get her number. But one of my most successful failures, I think you could call it, was when I actually got on a date with someone, and we met. I got a number at a club and went to a pub, and I greeted her, and she went, "Oh, hiya, Reese." I just thought I misheard. It sounds quite similar to Chris Reese. But no, it transpired throughout the night. We finished, we got to the end of the night, and she went, "Oh, I'll see you tomorrow, Reese." Well, she definitely said Reese. So I thought, oh, geez, what am I going to do about this? This is really awkward. So I thought, right, I'll tell you what, we're meeting at a house party the next day. So I thought, right, I'll get there 10 minutes early before she told me to get there. And I'll just make up, so I just say, oh, I thought you had said Reese, it's actually Chris. But she got there even earlier than I got there. So I thought, oh, God, what am I going to do? So I went into the house party, she went, Reese! I thought, oh, God. And she went, oh, yeah, this is my friend Reese. Oh, hey, hi, I'm Reese. Yeah, Reese. No, Reese. It's Reese. So I thought, I've only got two options here. Either I change my name to default to Reese, or I just never call her again. And that was it, I never called her again. Anyway, thank you all very much for coming again, and see you for the dance-off later. Thank you very much.
give you a little speech. Probably one of the best speeches you've heard. It's about that long. We're halfway through it. Today has been a really great day. So many lovely people all here to share in Chris and Becky's happiness. I'm sure in 30 years' time, they'll be able to put a name to every single face and not forget a moment. This will last a lifetime. As Chris mentioned earlier, there are people here that can't be here. Apparently some weren't invited. So again, I'd like to say to Becky's loving grandparents who can't be here, let's just raise a glass to them. And all absent friends.
Absent friends.
And I'd like to think that over the years, Chris will treat Becky as well as he does his Lego. If he does that, I know she's in safe hands. Again, beautiful venue, a lot of work gone in behind preparing this seat. I'd like to thank the people here, all involved, and I'm sure everyone will join me in a toast to everyone that's worked so hard to make Chris and Becky's day so special. Everybody. Cheers. So finally, I don't know how long before we hear the patter of little feet, but 2 guinea pigs we are. If you need any more guinea pigs, I'm shipping a few out. Anyway, everybody, I've said enough. Enjoy yourselves. And it's been a pleasure to be here on this special day.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Chris. What an eccentric, confident young man you are. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to begin by saying a huge thank you to everyone who's had a hand in planning this fantastic wedding. It's a real honour for me to be the best man for Chris on his and Becky's special day. Now, as some of you already know, I was not the first choice for best man.
Where is he?
It's fine. It just feels like a bit of a, do you know what I mean? Knife in the back, but it's fine. First choice was Reese, who unfortunately could not be here as he lives in Australia. The cost of flights to the UK is just silly money. You know, it's 10,000 miles away, so it seems like a pretty watertight excuse for Reese. Or is it? I looked at flights for this weekend. It's a £192 return. It was, 4 countries, 8 different stops, but it's your best mate's wedding, so, lazy. I'm only joking, of course. Reese has always been an amazing friend to Chris, so I got in touch with him, and he's kindly sent a special message, which is to be read by the person in this room that looks the most like Reese himself, Mr. Andrew Reeves.
It's uncanny. Now I know you're all thinking, this guy's already done a reading today. What's this about? But apparently it turns out I'm the only one of Chris's friends who can actually read. So these are Reese's words to you, Chris, and to everyone here. On behalf of myself and my wife, Gemma, feels weird just saying that. Firstly, apologies for not being able to attend Chris and Becky's special day. From our first day at primary school together, when Chris's mum, Carol, had to help me escort me in tears to class when I was lost, our strong friendship was born. It has developed over the past 30 years, today where we still keep in touch regularly whilst living in different hemispheres. Chris and Becky still need to come for a visit down under, but to be fair, even moving to the far north, Frome, was for Chris like emigrating to another country. Our friendship continued to grow and peaked when Chris pooed on his own bare foot at Scout Camp. People don't forget Chris. And has been fueled through the years by his ongoing lack of ability to grow a decent amount of facial hair. Chris has some weird interests and hobbies, like his failed stand-up comedy career. Arsenal Football Club, also a favourite. Logic, maths problems, tennis and Lego. Yet somehow we are still mates. But more importantly, he found a woman to marry him. Now there's a quote here from Friedrich Nietzsche. It is not a lack of love, but a lack of friendship that makes an unhappy marriage. I know in Becky, Chris has met someone who is the love of his life, and also his best friend. When I heard Chris and Becky were getting married, it truly was great news. Again, I'm gutted I cannot be there today celebrating this special event, but mainly I hate missing any opportunity to take the piss out of Chris's beard. I wish you guys all the best, enjoy the day, take it all in and remember the special occasion that it is, and everyone is here to celebrate with you both. Big hugs, Risley Bear.
Thank you, Andrew Reeves. Thank you very much. To all of Becky's bridesmaids, I'm sure that you're very proud that Becky has found her one true love. And I would like to assure you that Becky is in good hands with her new husband. He's a fun, caring, honest, and very mature human being who plays with Lego every single day. Don't get me started on Lego. I'll come on to Lego a bit later. I'm going to let you do everything. So, ladies and gents, I'm sure you all agree the bridesmaids are absolutely beautiful today, so please, if we all raise a glass, I'd like to make a toast to the bridesmaids. Okay, on to the beautiful bride, Mrs. Becky Battle. Now, the first time I met Becky properly and really got to know her, she made quite an impression on me. I found her to be really open and friendly. In fact, she was so open and friendly that within the first 10 minutes of talking to her, she told me that she was about to adopt a squirrel, that she had just invested in some very sexy Bristol Rovers underwear, just to surprise Chris, and that she can get hold of an unlimited supply of Umbongo drinks in the drop of her hat. Who's your supplier?
My dad.
Your dad. Let me order it later. It's these kind of random statements that Becky has become infamous for amongst our group. Along with her heart of gold, that's exactly why she's a massive hit with all of Chris's friends. Most importantly, Becky, I know how much you mean to Chris and how close you both are, and I've got no doubt that you'll have a fun-filled, happy life together. So Becky, on behalf of myself and the rest of Chris's friends, I would like to wish you all the happiness in life of a fantastic new husband. Ladies and gentlemen, to the bride. The bride. So many toasts. Enough of pleasantries. On to the groom, Mr. Christopher Battle, aka the man with 1,000 lookalikes. As Chris has already mentioned, he's got an extremely generic face. Now, obviously, Brian from Big Brother's already ruined. Yeah.
Sorry.
Brooklyn, nice. However, not been mentioned, this is the best. This is like a twin brother. Okay, have you ever seen the Lego movie? Oh yeah. So everyone, I'll leave it on the table so you can uncanny. Now let me take you back to when Chris was 4 years old. He went to Greenfield Primary School in Ilminster. His head teacher at the time described him as a smashing young lad. This was probably due to the fact that one playtime, Chris was running towards a glass corridor, and failing to stop in time, he put his hand straight through the glass, slicing his wrist open, the glass missing his tendons by millimetres. The doctor who stitched him up said it was a shame, as he could have been a half-decent tennis player when he grew up. As it turned out, the doctor was proven wrong. Chris grew up to be an awful tennis player. As a 9-year-old pupil at Swanmead School, he managed to kick a football straight through a neighbour's window. Yet more broken glass. So a bit of a theme developing here, Chris, okay? Wadham School followed, and after doing research for this speech, and spooling through your record of achievement, the box just down there. Okay. Yes, there's Carol sort me out. I noticed that Chris wrote on his own end-of-year report, and I quote, "I've had a perfect year." So apparently he smashed that as well. Even though he does say so himself. He's so humble. So humble. At this point, his Stephen Hawkins maths brain was in full flow. And Chris joined sixth form at Wadham and then went on to study at Plymouth University. But Chris didn't really get much studying done at university. Instead, he spent his time breaking into his housemate's room, leaving a pretend corpse under the sheets for the poor guy to find when he came home. He was also a huge fan of completely taping up a housemate's door so he couldn't get in. Time well spent at uni, obviously, Chris, wasn't it? Okay, let's talk Lego. About 5 years ago, I do feel responsible if I'm honest, I bought Chris a small Lego set for Christmas. This seemed to reignite from childhood and now burning passion for Lego, which, let's be honest, has gotten out of control. Chris has now got 200 different Lego sets at least, and he needs an actual Lego room in his house to hold it all. I've got to say though, Chris, your saying of Lego holds its value more than gold, it will only last so long. You've got a mortgage, mate. Just rein it in a bit, yeah? You know, this isn't even a wedding, this is an intervention. We're all there for you, we're all there for you. Now, Battle absolutely loves sport. From heads and volleys to tennis, he's a keen participant whenever he gets the chance. In fact, Chris is so passionate about sport that when he got beaten at darts at the sports hotel last year, he went home, secretly bought a dartboard, and practiced every single night for 8 months to surprise everyone. To surprise everyone how good he is. When we next meet up in secret, but obviously Becky told us this. And also, you've played against us, a few lads, several times this year. How many have you won? 0. It's a bagel. But you know, we're pretty bad at darts, aren't we? So it's not.
They're not my darts.
Well, different weights.
They're not my
Okay,
darts.
last night, different weights.
Yeah,
Played
not my
always played. Now everyone knows that Chris is a huge goon. Sorry, gooner. An Arsenal fan. But as they're absolutely rubbish, I'm not even going to talk about them. You know, it's a waste of all time. So let's move on. Now, I realise you might not have guessed it from his speech, but this guy is a keen stand-up comedian and has performed at a few venues in front of a live audience. He's even interviewed comedian Jimmy Carr. Now, 2 things spring to mind when I think of battle and stand-up comedy. First of all, Chris was attending a 21st friend's birthday party, and she had this absolutely beautiful birthday cake. I mean, this thing was pristine. The icing looked like fresh snow, and the detail was pure craftsmanship. So Chris thought it would be funny to, without warning, just punch it. He just punched the cake. Right in the middle, hard. Yeah, boom, just straight in. You're the very definition of a loose cannon. The birthday girl had a revenge though. I heard that the next time she saw me, she punched you straight in the face. Justice, yeah, justice. Also, Chris got booked to do a stand-up gig in the Brewhouse Theatre in Taunton. Now, it's a big venue, big crowd, probably a big break on the cards. Sadly, it wasn't to be. The venue got permanently shut down a week before your big night. The world just wasn't ready for your comedy, Chris. But you know, we laughed. I did laugh. Aside from Lego, computer games, and supporting a substandard football team, Chris has got another obsession: superheroes. In many ways, I believe that Chris reminds me that he's got the superpowers of 2 different superheroes. First of all, Chris can actually climb like Spider-Man. This was shown in Croatia when he was locked out of his room after a night out. So he decided to lift a security grill and climb through somebody else's window to gain access to his room via their apartment. The only problem was that this room was booked by a lovely couple on their honeymoon. Now the husband was downstairs in the bar and his newlywed wife was in bed trying to sleep, only for this inebriated buffoon to be rudely awakened, stumbling through her window. She was absolutely petrified. Now, it's safe to say the next morning we had some making up to do with them, and I think you walked about 3 miles to get them some champagne and chocolates. So in the end, 120 euros. Never got the money back, did you? Can you see that again? It was worth it, it was worth it. Chris also has got the powers of the Invisible Man. During nights out, he's got a habit of walking along with the group, so he's there, he's walking with us, and then he either just pops to the toilet, or he suddenly just runs away. Just runs. And he either goes home, or he just sleeps in someone's garden, because they don't want to wake up and let him into the house. And my favourite time has to be in Taunton, when he did this, and we went back to the car park, we were shouting his name in case he's asleep on a bench or something. We heard a sleepy groan, and it turns out Chris was asleep in the back of the car. But it wasn't our car. It was a brand new Range Rover of the same colour, parked 20 feet away and left unlocked. It's lucky the owner didn't come back and drive home when you were asleep in the back. But that would have been amazing. It wouldn't be a best man speech if I didn't mention the stag do. Now I have to say that on my stag do in Italy, we very sensibly provided Chris with a lanyard to wear at all times, which included identification and a message in Italian which read something like, if found, please return to our apartment. So you can imagine how worried I was taking this guy to Portugal on his own stag do, particularly as it was the weekend before the wedding. But as you can see, he made it through, and overall the weather was amazing, all the lads had a fantastic time, and I think we gave Chris an appropriate send-off into married life.
Yeah, right.
Enjoyed it. Yeah, it's well practiced. Okay, stats. Now, I thought I'd be too tipsy at this point to correctly pronounce the word statistic. Cheers. So, you love a stat. So I wrap my brains and I've got a few stats to hit you with to end this speech. Stat number 1. The 2 high fives that we had at my house, before and after we went to Munich, were 100% amazing.
Yeah.
True. Where's that? Stat number 2. If you take all the Lego bricks in circulation, it would equate to an average of 102 bricks per every human on Earth. So if you want to, you're officially well above average. As you pointed out earlier. Stat number 3. 3 of the schools that Chris has taught in went from an Ofsted rating of satisfactory to outstanding immediately after he left. Read into that what you will. Coincidence, of course it is. Stat number 4. A 2018 survey done by the National Census Bureau listed successful marriages by occupation. The least successful included massage therapists, bartenders, and office workers. But the most successful were IT technicians, librarians, and teachers. So that's a really good sign, really good sign. Stat number 5. Gracie Face was predicted a 64% SATs result in maths in year 6. But after your private tuition the weekend before, she ended up with 90%. And that is the sort of friend that you are. You would give up your time for anyone in need, and you're one of the most genuine people I've ever met. So ladies and gentlemen, please raise a glass to friendship. Friendship. Okay, I've got to say, buddy, it's an honour and a privilege to be friends with a legend like you. So I'd like to end this speech by saying that, Chris, I love you, mate. I'm proud of you, and I wish you both all the happiness in the world. Ladies and gentlemen, can you please be upstanding for a final toast to the bride and groom.
Bride and groom.
Cheers.